Welcome to my channel Adhyan with Flow. In our previous video, we discussed all the scientists who discovered the CO2 level, oxygen, food. They detect that yes, during photosynthesis, plant use CO2, water, and they produce what? Oxygen and food. So we cover all the substrate and products they made up by photosynthesis. Now another thing is, where does photosynthesis take place? Yes, where does photosynthesis, this process going to be happen? In the leaf part. In the leaf part, this phenomena occur. Green parts of the plant, what they do? They do photosynthesis. What kind of feature? What kind of feature of their leaves? Yes, leaves have some stomata at their surface area. Alright, what is the use of this stomata? They exchange the gases like CO2 in and oxygen out. CO2 in and oxygen out. This phenomena. Okay, CO2 in, oxygen out. This phenomena done by whom? Stomata. Now, they also contain mesophyll cells. They also contain mesophyll cells. And mesophyll cells contain what? A double membrane structure. The name is chloroplast. The name is chloroplast. They contain what? They contain green pigment. We can say photosynthetic pigment. And this is the chloroplast. Now, this is your diagram. This is the diagram of chloroplast. Look at here. This is the double membrane structure. This is the outer layer, and inside is inner layer. Now, these are, look at here, coin like structure. These are guys thylakoids. These are thylakoids. These are coin like structure. Coin like structure. The set of thylakoids, we call it as a grana. Look at here. The set of the thylakoids, we call it as a grana. They also contain some matrix part, plasm part, cytosol part, cytoplasm part. We can call it as a stroma. Here dark reaction is occur. Here dark reaction is occur. Guys, dark reaction does not mean that they occur in dark time. No, this is also occur in the daytime. But in the sense of that here is light reaction is produced. So in the contrast word, we can say here dark reaction is occur. Here light reaction is occur and here dark reaction is occur. In the contrast way, both the reaction occur in the daytime. They have their ribosomes. They have their 70S ribosome. If you want to break this ribosome, they break into two parts, large subunit and small subunit. This is the Sydberg unit. Now, what is this? This is the starch granule, their storage. That is the lipid droplets. They also have their DNA, circular DNA. This is the semi-autonomous organ. They regulate their self. By itself. So this is the structure of what? This is the structure of diagrammatically representation of chloroplast, guys. And you have to remember this diagram. You have to know all the things like what is thylakoids, what is grana part, what is stroma part, where light reaction is occur, where dark reaction is occur, what is outer layer, what is inner layer, what is stroma lamellae. This is the joining of one grana set and another grana set. This is the joining of connection between two set of grana. This is the one set of grana, this is the second set of grana. We call it as a connection. We call it as a stroma lamellae. Clear, guys? Very clear. Here, this is the thylakoid part. This is the thylakoid part. The thylakoid part contain what? Photosystems. They contain photosystem. Stroma lamella also contain photosystem. And what is photosystem? We discuss later. So here is photosystem is present. What they do? Photosystem, what they do? They made up with photosystem. They made up with some photosynthetic pigments, guys. Very important. They contain photosynthetic pigments like chlorophyll. It may be chlorophyll A, it may be chlorophyll B. Next, carotenoids. They also work as a photosynthetic pigment. Xanthophyll. These are also a photosynthetic pigment. Phycobilin. This is also a photosynthetic pigment. So photosynthetic. So photosystem. What they contain? They contain photosynthetic pigments. Those pigments who are useful in photosynthesis. They contain those pigments who are responsible for photosynthesis. And these photosynthetic pigments absorb light according to their potential. Chlorophyll absorb their required light. Carotenoid absorb their wavelength of light. Xanthophyll absorb their wavelength of light. And phycobilin absorb their wavelength of light. They absorb the light according to their potential. They absorb light according to their potential. Look at where light reaction is occur and where dark reaction is occur. Light reaction we can call it as a photochemical reaction, and dark reaction we also call it as a carbon reaction. Why? Because of this reaction we get food. Plant make food, and because of this reaction plant produce ATP, energy, in the form of ATP and NADPH. Yes, both are the form of the energy. Clear, guys? Very clear. So let's start about how many types of photosynthetic pigments are involved in photosynthesis. Here is some name, guys. Here is some name like chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, xanthophylls, carotenoids, also phycobilins, etc. So chlorophyll A, this is the main photosynthetic pigment. Their appearance is bright or blue green. If we isolate chlorophyll A, they look like green in color. They look like green in color. Blue, green in color, green in color, bright or blue green in color. Next is chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll B is second important photosynthetic pigment. They look like yellow green. Yellow green. Now xanthophylls color is yellow. Carotenoids look like yellow too, yellow and orange. Carotenoids is a metabolites of vitamin A. So you know now how much vitamin A is important. This is the one of the form of vitamin A, carotenoids. Other also form are present, retinol, retinoids, retinal. Okay, it's not a part of our photosynthesis. So carotenoids, xanthophyll, chlorophyll B, chlorophyll A, these are the photosynthetic pigments. They are responsible for what? They are responsible for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. Now, chlorophyll A absorb different wavelength of light. Chlorophyll B absorb different wavelength of light. Xanthophylls absorb different wavelength of light, and carotenoids also absorb different wavelength of light. We know na, Engelsman experiment, they show that sun release their sunlight. This sunlight have many factors. It may be infrared light, it may be UV red light, it may be visible light. So plant absorb visible light 400 nm wavelength to 700 nm wavelength. This is the wavelength plant absorb. Wavelength plant will absorb in their photosynthesis mechanism. At this wavelength and this wavelength, plants show greater photosynthesis rate. At this wavelength and this wavelength, plant absorb highest light. Plant absorb this light, and they absorb and they do what? Photosynthesis. This range is not too much important because this range and this range is highly useful in photosynthesis, guys. So this range and this range, pigments absorb this range light to this range light. They absorb 400 to 700 nm wavelength of light. Who absorb? Pigments. Pigments absorb. Some pigments absorb 400 to 600 lights. Some pigments absorb 600 to 700 lights. Let's discuss. Highest absorption of light. Highest absorption of light done by chlorophyll B. Look at here. Look at their peak. Look at their peak. Look at here. Look at their peak. Highest peak. Highest peak, guys. Highest peak. Highest light absorbed by chlorophyll B. Second highest peak absorbed by chlorophyll A. High. I'm writing is high. Look at here their peak size. This is the peak size of chlorophyll A. Look at here. And next, lowest light absorbed by carotenoid. Lowest light means low absorption of light. They absorb high light amount. They also absorb high light amount. But compare then chlorophyll B, chlorophyll A and carotenoids, highest absorption done by chlorophyll B. And this is the peak, yellow peak. Carotenoids, look at here, yellow in color na? Yellow peak. So highest absorption done by chlorophyll B, then A, then carotenoids, isn't it? Chlorophyll B absorb maximum light, and carotenoids absorb minimum light. Compare then chlorophyll B. Clear, guys? And now let's switch towards this table, this graph. Rate of photosynthesis. I told you na, sun give multiple wavelength like infrared, microwave, X-rays, visible light, but plant give their performance in best in this wavelength and this wavelength. So here, this is here, plant perform their highest photosynthesis rate in this wavelength and this wavelength. Here to here, they show maximum photosynthetic yield. They give maximum photosynthetic yield. Here is the aggregation of both light absorption and the wavelength. Here is 400, here is 700. Look at here, maximum absorption of light is 400 nm, and then down, no absorption of light. And again maximum light absorption at the 700 mm. Means plant absorb this wavelength of light and this wavelength of light, this wavelength of light and this wavelength of light. Plant maximum absorb 400 nm wavelength of light and 700 nm wavelength of light. They absorb 400 nm wavelength light and 700. In middle, they don't absorb at 500 nm light, 600 nm light. They perform betterly in 400 nm light and 700 nm light. And now this is the absorption. This is the absorption. And this black line show the photosynthesis. If light absorbed at this time and this, so definitely we can take an idea that photosynthesis is high at this peak and at this peak. So photosynthesis yield high at 400 nm and 700 nm. So that's all about this graph. That's all about this graph. Look, 13 point B graph. Yeah, what they want to show, the wavelength at which maximum photosynthesis occur in a plant. Here and here, maximum photosynthesis performance. So whatever I explain here and here and here, everything is written here. Everything is written here. The wavelength at which there is a maximum absorption by chlorophyll A in the blue and the red region also shows the higher rate of photosynthesis. Hence, we can conclude that chlorophyll A is the chief pigment. Guys, chlorophyll A is the chief pigment associated with photosynthesis. Okay, means chlorophyll A is the major pigment, guys. Yeah, chlorophyll B, carotenoids and xanthophyll also important. Bilkul important, but highest requirement of this pigment is necessary. Their presence is very necessary. In this, look at here, they are the wavelength, they are the peak of their absorption level. Absorption level peak, wavelength, color of light at which chlorophyll shows the maximum absorption. Does it show another absorption peak at any other wavelength? At this wavelength of light, they show highest absorption, guys. At this wavelength, they show highest absorption because we already studied that Engelmann proof this thing. According to their research, they take alga and aerobic, so they prove that highest absorption of light here and here. They already prove. Look at here, I'll show you. Wait a minute. Yes, where wait a minute. Look at here, TW Engelsmann. They show in their experiment that blue and red light of the split spectra highest absorption. They show by their experiment that highest absorption of energy, absorption of spectra is seen in blue region and red light region, red and far red region. They explain their absorption level of plant. They already proved this thing. Look at here, there are some graph na, guys. I explain everything. Which kind of pigment absorb highest light, which kind of thing absorption level, photosynthetic level. I explain all the thing. What wavelength are important for photosynthesis and what kind of wavelength show highest absorption. At what wavelength plant will perform better. Okay. So this is the photosystem. We will discuss in our next video. We will discuss photosystem A1 and photosystem 2. Both we will discuss with elaborate manner beyond the level. Thank you so much for listening me. Thanks a lot. If you don't subscribe my channel, then please subscribe now. Please subscribe. Thank you. Keep smiling. Thank you so much.